I'd like to bring this meeting to order. The Village of Villa Park Board of Trustees meeting, September 9th, 2024. Clerk Konecki, please call the roll.
Trustee Alfano.
Here.
Trustee Cordova.
Here.
Trustee Corkery. Trustee Kozar.
Here.
Trustee Kumar. Trustee Patrick.
Here.
President Casone.
Here. And if we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could please remain standing. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. May we have meaningful discussions that will help us to assist our village in these trying times. Help us to make the decisions that will affect the staff, directors, and residents of Villa Park. Guide us through the challenges we face, and may we approach each other with respect and kindness as one group. In your name, amen. Okay, item 3, amendments to the agenda. Do we have anyone for amendments? Okay, seeing none. Public comments on agenda items. Do we have anyone signed up? Clerk Konecki.
Yes, Cheryl Tucker, I believe referencing 12C.
Hello, Cheryl Tucker. I have just an issue, and it's not with basically the ordinance itself on 12C and 11B. My issue is on what it states afterwards. And that issue is that I understand that this board is big for supporting the businesses in town. And I didn't say anywhere information saying that the surrounding towns are allowing the businesses to open up on that Sunday or sell liquor that have liquor licenses. So as a board, I don't know if you're doing this to help the businesses in Villa Park with the liquor license to equal the ground, because I don't have that information with the surrounding towns. But everybody understands that the Bears game is a big opportunity for businesses that sell liquor to make a big profit. That's no question asked on that. Everybody knows that. And I don't have any problem with our businesses doing well. That's a great opportunity for them. And to have people from outside the area come in and support our businesses that way. What I have a problem with is the statement being used and proving that ordinance. And that statement in the background is what it says, that the corporation authorizes the Village of Villa Park to deem it to be in the best interest of the village and its residents to amend the permit hours of operation for the sale and service of alcoholic liquor on Sunday, October 13th, 2024 only. I understand that, because the Bears game starts at 8:30. You've got an 8 o'clock, you want to sell, the businesses want to sell liquor at 8 o'clock, and allowing the licensed establishments to do that. That's not my problem. What my problem is it really in the best interest of the residents? Yes, it's in the best interest of the businesses, and the village, who has a tax revenue, will get revenue on it. But are the residents living in a town that they basically believe is family-oriented and very religious-based? By saying this, that the residents, is in the best interest of the residents to sell liquor at 8 a.m. and to open the establishments on a Sunday morning, so them to sell the liquor at 8 a.m. and say that it's in the residents' best interest? Is it really in the residents' best interest, or should that be scratched from that statement and say it's in the best interest of the village and the businesses of Villa Park? That's all I have to say. I don't think it's in the best interest of the residents themselves to approve this, but I understand why you're doing it, to support the businesses in the future.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have anyone else? Public comments on agenda items? Okay. I'd just like to remind everybody, we have a 3-minute limit, and if you could please sign your name in there when you get up to this podium, please.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Perlman, Thank you for your service to the community of Villa Park. Tonight, I'm here to ask you to postpone a vote on approving the ordinance to Tower Co. In 2023, the village board voted to deny the special use permit to Tower Co. to construct a 125-foot cell tower at 1250 South Ardmore Avenue on the Willowbrook High School property. Since then, Tower Co. filed a lawsuit against the village. It is most unfortunate that a company would file a lawsuit when a village has made it clear they do not want the wireless tower. This lawsuit has been an unnecessary burden to the village in time and costs. TowerCo has said the village is prohibiting personal wireless service in violation of 47 USC, et cetera, because there's a significant gap in personal wireless service in the vicinity of the subject property, and the proposed tower is in the least intrusive means of remedying that significant gap in service. How has TowerCo proven that? Where exactly is the gap in service? The telecom industry is known for creating false propagation maps, saying there's a gap in service and making the documents suit their needs. Have they provided you with the evidence proving that? Has the village hired their own independent radio frequency engineer to do a drive test to prove there is a gap in service? Have property values in the area been addressed when a wireless tower is nearby? In 2023, we did a FOIA request to the Village of Villa Park requesting the necessary NEPA checklist required by federal law. The village said there are no such documents regarding NEPA. TowerCo stated that at a few meetings, they know NEPA is required and they would submit the NEPA if the village trustees would approve the special use permit. Has TowerCo provided the necessary NEPA checklist and supporting documentation with their answers? If not, they are in violation of federal law. I ask you tonight to deny the vote, to give you the time to hire your own independent radio frequency engineer to do a drive test to prove there is a gap in service. Also, please take the time to make sure that the NEPA checklist has been submitted with the appropriate documents in response to our previous FOIA request for the NEPA. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. If you could please sign in, thank you.
Yes. Hi, my name is Tina Chan, and I want to talk about the TowerCo proposal, and I am also asking that you reject the ordinance. And I would like to bring up some safety issues. So I think that there is still, TowerCo is saying that the cell tower can collapse upon itself, but there really is no evidence or, where in the diagram does it show the weak points where the tower could collapse on itself. And if it does fall, then what's the fall zone? So I think that needs to be fleshed out a lot more, and it should be shown in the diagram, because of, any perhaps, whether it's wind or it's, act of God or something that could cause this to happen, and it's where it's located, where people are, as well as school. And so also we would like to know, where and when has it happened that they're saying the tower could collapse upon itself. So if you look at it, at the diagram currently shown, there's no adequate fall zone, as well as, for potential falling ice in the winter time. What's the plan? What's the danger? So those kind of things I think need to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Ray Cheska, a big fan of Villa Park. And it's almost a year ago to the day that we were here the last time. You all look great. I got a little grayer, but you guys didn't change at all. A year ago, we had a lot of information to share with you, and one in particular was the wireless industry has not spent $1 of research, according to the industry executive's testimony that they gave to Washington, D.C. Now, that's a year, and I'm sure you are overloaded with new information about the safety of the towers, and maybe I'm going to repeat myself, but certainly you're coming to an area where you're going to sign on to an ordinance allowing this. But I just wanted to remind you a couple of things. And I also asked you to put it on hold until you really feel comfortable. One is that according to a recent study, and it's been over and over again, the real estate values are going to drop 20%, anybody who lives within a certain distance from the tower. And just reported, Ripon, California had a cell tower on the campus near their elementary school. Over a 3-year period, 4 children and 3 teachers were diagnosed with cancer. Though the investigation on the cause is still not complete, Sprint, who was the one that put the tower up, took the tower down and left town. Unfortunately, it was really too late for some of them. And I think I addressed the fire chief the last time I was here, and this should really take into consideration. In San Diego, a cell tower was installed adjacent to one of their stations. And once the tower was activated, they reported that they could no longer function without firefighters getting severe headaches, inability to sleep, and foggy thinking. Now, they experienced what we would consider unbelievable. When I read this and then I contacted someone out there, it was unbelievable. Firefighters on several occasions got lost. 911 calls in the town that they knew like the back of their hand. Can you imagine that happening here? In one instance, 4 firefighters sat in the rig in a stupor with the alarm sounding in the background, unable to remember how to start the engine. Can you believe that? And a medic with 20 years of experience who had never made a mistake forgot basic CPR in the midst of resuscitating coronary victim. They hired Dr. Hauser, and Dr. Hauser was a leading expert in EMF, and he determined it was the tower. They took the tower down, and things, over time, got back to normal. We have to take that into consideration, and I'm sure the time last year to right now, that you have to feel comfortable with that, and you have information coming from the industry that this tower would be safe for children. And I understand that I would like you to know 2 people, that these are 2 leading experts that I don't have time tonight to introduce you to them. But if you delay this, I will personally meet with all of you to talk about Dr. Royce, Lawrence Royce, and Dr. Paul Hérault. These guys are well-known in the industry in terms of human safety, in terms of their knowledge of the electromagnetic frequency coming from the big towers. And they've devoted their lives to this. So if you don't know anything about the 2 of them, you should learn about those, and I would be willing to share that information. And in conclusion, I took a meter and I did the village of Oak Brook. I went to the schools, and yes, I just wanted you to know that the tower a small tower that's put in front of Butler Junior High School, the safety factor is 1,000 milliwatts to squared, and that is 1,000 is the safety limit. Their limit is 13,700. Those kids are playing in the field in a radiation element that's the same as a microwave. So please consider delaying this until you have more information.
Okay, thank you.
I'll sign this.
Okay. Anyone else, public comments on agenda items? Okay, seeing none, public comments on non-agenda items?
Mike Murray.
Thank you, President Kazone and Board, for listening to me tonight. My name is Mike Murray, and I actually am from Bloomingdale Township, but I've spent a lot of time over the summer in Villa Park and in your community, and I want to say I really enjoyed it. You have a wonderful, friendly community. Our community is the first community in DuPage County to have a community mental health board. And we had such great success with that, and I was part of that group that advocated for that and worked on it, that we wanted to bring this to the rest of DuPage County. And so this summer, that's what we were doing, is gathering signatures in York Township and also in Winfield and Wayne Township. And I'm glad to say we were successful, and we have a referendum on the ballot this November. One of the things we've noticed is that towards election time, you won't believe this, but sometimes misinformation comes out. So as leaders of the community, I prepared a list of packets with just some real simple, basic facts about community mental health boards. And I hope you will share that with your neighbors, because I'm sure people, I hope, will be asking you about it, and you will have the simple facts to answer them with. One of the things that's different about this referendum as opposed to other referendums is the dollar amount listed on the referendum, which is very modest. It's, I think, going by memory, $16 per 100,000. That's the most. That's the most. Actually, the actual amount that our community charges and the other communities in the area is about half of that. So if you own a home valued at, for instance, about $400,000 without the homeowner's exemption, you're going to pay $33 or $35 in that range. But really, the most important thing is what this accomplishes. And there are so many unmet needs, and that's what mental health boards do, is fund unmet needs. We started, for instance, we've had in the news some really sad and troubling news, and we get this all too frequently about our children. Our community started a children's mental health network where we're trying to screen our kids every year. There's also 16,000 people on waiting lists, believe it or not, that are developmentally disabled in the state of Illinois, working to get services, and they wait from 5 to 7 years. Finally, I'd like to invite, if you're able, Wednesday night at the Helen Plum Library in Lombard, we have a meeting with Shannon Hartnett from NEDFIS. I know you guys use NEDFIS with your police department. And we have Laura Anderson, another expert. I would invite you to come, and they will be able to present a lot more information than I can in 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So,
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else? Public comments on non-agenda items? All right. Okay. We'll move on to item 6, proclamations. We have several of them tonight. First one is a proclamation recognizing September 15th, 2024 through October 15th, 2024 as National Hispanic Heritage Month of 2024. Whereas each year, the United States observes National Hispanic Heritage Month by celebrating the culture, heritage, and contributions of those whose ancestors were indigenous to North America, as well as those who came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, Central America, and South America. And whereas in 1968, as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Johnson, and was expanded by President Reagan in 1988 to cover a 30-day period from September 15th to October 15th. And whereas the Hispanic population is the nation's largest racial or ethnic minority at 19.1%, and the largest ethnic minority within the village of Villa Park, with 24.7% of our residents being of Hispanic heritage. And whereas the local Hispanic population makes a significant contribution to the economic, educational, musical, gastronomic, and cultural vibrance of the village of Villa Park. And whereas this year's theme, Pioneers of Change, Shaping the Future Together, this theme is meant to capture the spirit of innovation, resilience, and unity that define the Hispanic experience, and to celebrate stories of youth and family legacies. Now therefore, I, Nick Cazone, President of the Village of Villa Park, do hereby proclaim September 15th, 2024 through October 15th, 2024 as National Hispanic Heritage Month of 2024. And I will try to do that in Spanish. Yo, Nick Cazón, presidente de la aldea de Villa Park, por la presente proclamo del 15 de septiembre de 2024 al 15 de octubre de 2024 como el mes nacional de la herencia hispana de 2024. I hope I didn't mess that up. Well, thank you. Okay, our next proclamation is recognizing September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. And whereas September 17th, 2024 marks the 237th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore, I, Nick Cazón, by virtue of the authority vested in me as Village President of the Village of Villa Park, in the County of DuPage, and the State of Illinois, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. And we ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution that they had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. Very important this time of year. And our final proclamation recognizing October 2024 as the 7th Annual Arts DuPage Month. Whereas Arts DuPage, coordinated by a countywide arts council operating under the umbrella of DuPage Foundation, draws attention to the arts and their vital role in our lives and community. Whereas Arts DuPage reminds residents that every October will be filled with a collective celebration of arts and culture. And whereas the arts provide entertainment, stimulate economic activity, create employment opportunities, drive commerce to local businesses, promote tourism, and generate valuable tax revenue. And whereas the arts provide a significant role in unifying our communities and fostering social cohesion, and whereas by working together, we will illuminate the cultural landscape in our community and celebrate its often overlooked economic, educational, and social benefits. Therefore, I, Nick Cazón, President of the Village of Villa Park, do hereby proclaim October 2024 as the 7th Annual Arts DuPage Month in the Village of Villa Park. And we have a lot of artistic people in Villa Park. I think one of our trustees, who's not here tonight, unfortunately, is one of those artists who does a great job in promoting Villa Park. So thank you for listening to me for 10 minutes. Okay, item 7, presentation, we have none. Item 8A is an appointment of Catherine Maywood as commission member of the Community Fund Commission for a term from appointment to April 30th, 2025. And we have a motion for the appointment. Trustee Alfano?
I'll make that motion.
We have second. Trustee Patrick, questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Renecki, please.
Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Cordova.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, item 9, consent agenda. Bill listings for the weeks of August 26th and September 3rd, 2024 in the amount of $1,849,963.97. Item B, approval of the minutes of the August 26th, 2024 Village Board of Trustees meeting, and the acceptance of the minutes of the August 3rd, 2024 Coffee with the Board. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Trustee Alfano.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a second? Trustee Cordova, questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Renecki, please.
Okay, trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
President Casone.
Yes. Okay, we have an ordinance for the first reading. It's an ordinance amending the Villa Park Municipal Code to expressly include the Village of Villa Park with respect to the prohibition on the use of groundwater as a potable water supply within the corporate limits of the village. Manager Harley.
This ordinance amends the village code to prohibit the use of groundwater as a potable water supply by the installation or use of water wells for potable water or extracting potable water from groundwater by any other method within the corporate limits of the village of Villa Park, including the village of Villa Park itself. This ordinance exempts properties that have such wells in the corporate boundary in existence prior to the effective date of this section. Staff recommends approval of this ordinance. We approved a similar ordinance several months ago, but the IEPA requested this change because it was not expressly stated that the village could not also use a well for potable water. And Director Guerra is here to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay. Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Oh, this is the first reading.
Oh, I apologize.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to waive the second reading.
Okay, we have a motion to waive the first reading. We have a second. Trustee Kozar?
Second.
Okay. Questions or comments on that? Clerk Konecki?
Trustee Cordova,
Yes.
Trustee Patrick,
Yes.
Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
President Casone.
Yes. Okay, so we waived the first reading. Do we have a motion to, for the ordinance itself? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion now.
Okay, there you go. Good. We have a second. Trustee Kozar?
Second.
Okay, questions or comments? And as Manager Harline said, this is a requirement of the EPA now, the Illinois EPA. They've gotten real particular on the wording of these ordinances, and unfortunately, this one got through without that in there, so. Okay, Clerk Konecki?
Okay, Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
President Casone.
Yes. Okay, these are second readings ordinances. Item 11A, ordinance adopting various amendments to the Villa Park Municipal Code implicating Chapters 2 Administration, Chapter 3 Alcoholic Liquor, Chapter 4 Amusements, Chapter 7 Buildings and Building Regulations, Chapter 9 Fire Prevention and Protection, Chapter 10 Garbage and Trash, Chapter 13 Licenses, Permits, and Business Regulations, Chapter 15 Nuisances, Chapter 18 Planning and Development, Chapter 25 Water, Sewers, and Sewage Disposal, and Chapter 26 Administrative Adjudication. Manager Harline.
This ordinance will correct commission names, personnel titles, and department names utilized by the village, eliminate the requirement of a court reporter for Planning and Zoning Commission in favor of a recording secretary, eliminate annual reports by the Planning and Zoning Commission, eliminate the required deposits for commission cases which are continued, and also specify notice requirements for administrative adjudication. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance?
I'll make
Trustee
that motion.
Cordova, do we have a second? Trustee Kozar?
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Konecki, please.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
President Casone.
Yes. Okay, item 11B is an ordinance amending Section 3-13A of Chapter 3 of the Villa Park Municipal Code in order to increase by one the maximum number of licenses permitted under the Class AAA liquor license classification. Manager Harline.
This ordinance will add a Class AAA license, increasing the total number of Class AAA licenses to 4. Liquor Commission has approved the issuance of this license. An updated memo was included in the packet for this meeting that includes some of the information about the different what each different type of license allows you to do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Cordova?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Patrick? Any questions or comments? Trustee Kozar.
So which property is this for?
This is 24 East St. Charles. This is the old Here to Stay.
I thought they approached the board wanting to do a coffee shop in there.
The original owner, well, once it was sold, the owner was talking about doing that. He was going to knock the building down. We had given them planning and zoning, I believe, had given them a variance for a drive-through. And that fell through, and then that owner sold it to the current owner, who is developing it into a wine bar.
Is it a wine bar, or is it more of one of the casino types that?
Well, he's gonna have gaming, but he's gonna have a full kitchen, well, I wouldn't say a full kitchen, but he'll have a fairly extensive kitchen with a fairly decent menu.
Has he ever been in front of the board to tell us what he's going to do?
I don't believe he has.
When was this in front of the Liquor Commission?
It was actually it was in front of myself, who acts as a commission unless the commission is required. I'm the commissioner, so the commission doesn't meet unless there's a reason to.
Okay, because it says the Liquor Commission
Yep.
has approved it. There's 3 members to the Liquor
Yeah,
Commission.
that actually probably should be
So only you
commissioner.
approved it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
that's- That should be Commissioner.
Yeah,
My apology.
correct.
So it would seem to me that if we have a Liquor Commission, just like we have Traffic and Safety Commission or a Planning and Zoning Commission, when something relevant to that comes in, such as a liquor license, the Liquor Commission would vet this for us, so we, at the board level, don't have to be spending time vetting it and asking questions and doing the homework on it. Like, isn't that one of the functions of the Liquor Commission?
Well, the liquor commissioner approves the license as it said in the ordinance. The owner has to go through the background check through the police department.
No, I understand that. I'm
Yeah,
not
so it
asking
goes
about
through-
how you get a liquor license, but
Right.
is it not the function of the Liquor Commission to vet various people that come through wanting a liquor license? I mean,
No,
so the Liquor Commission doesn't do that.
correct. Attorney Wolf, I don't know if you want to,
That's correct. That's not the role of the liquor commissioner. It's the sole authority of that's not the
Liquor
role of the
commission.
liquor
Okay.
commission. It's that is solely within the authority of the liquor commissioner. Subject to the approval of the background checks as President Couzon described,
and then obviously approval of the board.
to
So
increase the number of
To increase
licenses
the number.
available.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, I guess I'm confused as to what the Liquor Commission does if they don't discuss, I'm not saying they approve it, but they would discuss new people, new applicants coming in, wanting to either open up a casino or a wine bar or whatever it is that they are going to do. There's no discussion whatsoever, with this.
No, it's been-
with this group of 3 people that have been appointed to be the Liquor Commission.
Yeah, it's been my experience in the 10 years I've been on the board, the liquor commission has never met to approve a liquor license.
No, I'm not suggesting they meet to approve the liquor license. We approve the liquor license as a board.
Right.
Just like Traffic and Safety doesn't approve a stop sign.
Right.
They make a recommendation.
But the liquor commission has never met to make the recommendation for a liquor license.
I think they should. Is that not a function that they could have?
No, that authority is with the president as the local liquor control commissioner. The authority to issue that license is within the president.
No, but we're not talking about issuing a license. We'll use the same analogy. If somebody thinks that a stop sign should be added somewhere in our village, Traffic and Safety would have discussion on it and then make a recommendation. I understand that it's the president who signs off on the liquor license, and it's the board that creates the liquor license if none are available. But could that not be a function of the Liquor Commission to review, just like Traffic and Safety would, an element that is relative to what the Liquor Commission does, which is pertaining to liquor license?
It's not,
Well,
you gotta go ahead, yeah.
via the village code, the Liquor Control Commission has duties that are set forth in the village code. And those duties really mainly relate to when a liquor license is suspended or revoked, and there's a due process that's afforded to those licensees. And those hearings are conducted before the Liquor Commission. The Liquor Control Commissioner, which is the village president, has the authority and control over what licenses may be issued. And then the board has the authority to increase those, that licenses available in the village code.
Okay. So President Kazone, tell us about the business plan of this company that has purchased this building and wants to open up a gaming parlor.
but it's not a gaming parlor. It's a wine bar that has gaming. They will have food. They're going to have an outdoor, they're constructing an outdoor patio, I believe, according to Community Development Director. They will have gaming in a sectioned off area, but it will primarily be a wine bar similar to the wine bar we have on Kenilworth Avenue.
Do you know what percentage of the footprint is going to be dedicated to gaming?
Not offhand, but probably, Director McLaughlin, would you say about 10% at the most?
While he's looking at that, what will be the name of this, I don't know what we're calling it, a wine bar?
I think it's Lena's.
Lena's, yeah.
Is this their only location?
Yes.
Director McLaughlin, do you know if this is their only location in, yeah, hold on.
And I believe if this goes, he would probably try to open up another one in another municipality. Is his long-range plan, I believe.
Director McLaughlin?
Good evening.
Would it be easier, would you prefer if we pass this until the next meeting and then you can,
No, I can speak
okay?
now. I pulled up the plan. So on the screen is the building permit application, the architecturals. I'm going to get to a location if I can get to pan here. Let's see here. Let's go one more. Yeah, there we go. That's the good one. So here on the bottom of the page is the proposed floor plan. Let's see if I can get this at like 40%. Yeah, there we go. Thank you for the lights. Okay, this right here on the far right side is St. Charles. This is the current location of that entrance. They're redoing it, making it more of a vestibule, and the front is the dining room. They're accounting for four tops within the hallway going along the eastern edge of the property, passing 2 new bathrooms, slop sink, which is adjacent to their brand-new kitchen, which then as you continue along that edge is the bar. So you've got your bar seating, your back of bar, which then also has access to the kitchen. And you continue down that same hallway. Outside, they're constructing a new deck. It was originally slated as a patio, but because of the grades, when they actually got out there and started demoing some things, the deck was more logical. So this will be a deck straight across with a pergola over it. And that's what these big squares are the posts for the pergola. And so this is behind the building. Everything on the east of this, which would be the top page, is going to be the newly constructed parking lot, which looks like this. So there's 2 ways in and out. Majority of the parking is in the rear, handicap up on the street side, and then exiting on Cornell, again, St. Charles over here. As you will note, on the build-out, there is no dedicated location for gaming. They are not building it into their initial build-out. If it comes along because they have a liquor license and they choose to go that route, that is for them to figure out where they would want to put it, but they are presenting it as a upfront dining room, bar, and outdoor dining. The ownership is local, Villa Park resident. This is their first foray into owning a bar, and if they continue to do anything, I do not know, but they saw a niche opportunity in the market, acquired the property, worked through us to establish building permits, new water connection, and a build-out in St. Charles Corridor.
You know roughly how much they're spending on this?
6 figures for sure. Yeah. Yeah. 350,000 was the talked about number.
Who's the owner?
Technically it's an ownership group, but the 75% owner is a resident, and I'm blanking on his last name right now. Sorry.
It's Nick, isn't it? His first name's Nick?
It very well could be.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm blanking on the last name though.
Yeah.
Do you know President Kazone?
No, I just met him a couple times when he was talking about doing this. I may have.
I'm much better with drawings than I am with names.
It's not Nick.
No, I don't have it here. I could get that to you though.
Gary's got it.
Okay. Okay, Kanwar Sandhu. Is he the,
Yeah, along with, obviously with the application for liquor license, all ownership of 5% or more had to go through the background check. And so all their names would be listed on
Yeah.
the application, which is a function of finance, not community economic development.
Yep.
I think,
Okay.
I don't have more questions right now.
Trustee Alfano.
I may.
I do have a couple of questions. I know that we have a TIF district that was recently added to this area. Was this a TIF? Did this establishment benefit from TIF at all?
They are not being granted any TIF assistance in this build-up.
Okay.
They are doing TIF eligible expenses. However, we are not doing an agreement with them. It's all out of pocket.
And I know when this initially came up, I've been very consistent in the idea when it comes to not exactly, I don't exactly have an issue with the wine bar. What I have an issue with is the gaming portion of the pour license. And I did do some digging into how many open gaming establishments there are in our town and in some neighboring towns just from July to August of this year from the Illinois Gaming Board. We have 26, Lombard has 11, Oak Brook Terrace has 19, Elmhurst doesn't have any. At least I'm assuming that because they don't have a drop down.
Actually, Elmhurst has one.
Has one.
Yeah,
Okay, so they changed
American
that.
Legion got one.
That was according to 2022 article that they prohibited it altogether.
Yeah.
So I'm not opposed to the wine bar aspect, but I am hearing residents consistently say the gaming thing is getting out of control. And I don't know if there is something that we can do. I understand home rule and non-home rule might be an issue, but that is starting to become something that more and more I am hearing feedback on. That is frustrating residents. And I am the voice of the residents, so I do need to voice that concern louder and louder and louder if I have to every time it comes up, because that is the thing that is, I think, the rub.
Yeah, the conversation that we have when someone comes to the front counter for this first time is that they have to be something first, and then if gaming is a side thing, that's up to you guys, but I'm not even bringing it to you if it's another gaming cafe. It has to be something first.
Correct.
In this instance, it's a wine bar with outdoor dining and a full kitchen. It's not a gaming cafe.
But there's nothing to say that they can't just, if this model doesn't work, we're just putting games in. Is there
Right.
anything that changes that? Or
No,
that
that-
prohibits that from happening?
No, I would refer to legal on what we can do about revoking a license, because they are on an annual. But when they come forward, present a plan, and build it out, that's the assurance policies that we can get.
Okay, so then I guess my next question is to legal. What can we do if we do approve a liquor license for something like this, which sounds delightful, and then this business model doesn't work, and then it's just gaming all over. What are our options if that's not something that we as a board decide that's the vision that we would like for St. Charles?
Well, the village definitely has the right to prohibit gaming within the municipality, and with that right to prohibit gaming, the village can regulate gaming. So they could establish regulations applicable to video gaming in the municipality.
Could I, if I may, so we have created a license for E, which is a restaurant, but you cannot have gaming. I think if I remember correctly.
It's a triple E or 4E.
4E.
Yeah, right.
So theoretically, we could create a 4A or something like that, where you could have a wine bar, tavern type thing without, but you could have all the other amenities of this facility here, but not gaming, theoretically. I mean, we don't have that right now.
Correct.
No, because he's applying for the triple A.
Right, he's,
Correct.
yeah.
Is,
And I'm not suggesting we change the rules in the
No.
middle of this application.
Right.
I'm just saying that is it's possible we could at least research to see if there's a possibility.
Yes.
yeah, because the 4E is full liquor. Yeah. Trustee Alfano.
So also in full disclosure, I do have concerns with this particular license and application because we haven't seen anybody come to the board yet presenting this. As a business owner, I have concerns there. And there's just there's a part of me that says that I have to vote no on this tonight because I haven't seen anybody. There's this gaming piece that I'm hearing from residents say, we can't do this, and we don't really have that. I don't feel like we have that control yet as a village to be able to say, but if this changes, we're going to do something different, and we can have that flexibility as a board. And that pains me because I do want to see this type of development. And I know, Mark, that you do a lot of work trying to work with developers, but I have to listen to the residents that say, we just can't keep doing this.
Trustee Cordova.
So I have an article here from 2022, Elmhurst Patch, talking about how Elmhurst neighbors make a lot from video gambling. And it looks like in 2022, August 2022, I'd like to get some updated numbers on this because it's a little bit older, but Villa Park brought in $632,887 in tax revenue from gambling machines. Addison, $600,000. Oak Brook, $548,000. So I would like to see I'd like to understand what the tax revenue is per place. What would you say? There's 22. There's like 24, 26. That'll be the ask for me of what that looks like, because it looks like Stella's in Villa Oaks Shopping Center brings in 56,000. Betty's 45, and then the other Stella's at North Park Shopping Center for 45. This is 2 years ago. Those are okay numbers. Those are okay numbers of revenue, and I'd like to see what the average is of all the places so that we can understand and be able to quantify what we'd be saying no to, right? So my biggest thing is, and something I've learned here on the board has been that the market dictates success of these places. So if we don't want to go here, if we don't want these places to succeed, that'll actually organically happen, right? I am a big proponent of revenue, open markets, the whole thing. So I would never tell anyone that they can't open a business here, regardless of what they have. There are some worries that I have, vape shops, smoke shops, things like that. But for this sort of stuff, if it's a large revenue generator, and this looks nice, this might be pretty nice. I'm a hard proponent of revenue.
Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. I also share some of the same concerns as Trustee Alfano. Now, I'm all for economic development and growth, absolutely. But I've also been approached by multiple residents regarding the image of Villa Park and how we are reflecting it being a gaming community rather than a community. I am absolutely in favor of giving I think you called it a 4A license for an establishment like this. But at this time, I have to listen to my residents, the constituents that I talk with on a daily basis about this and the image of Villa Park. I'm going to be a hard no for this.
Trustee Kozar.
So to comment on Jorge's comment where the market determines, and I had made that same comment about let the market determine when we were talking about parking, and that we shouldn't handcuff or, probably handcuff or just make it the business's obligation to always provide parking when you're dealing with older buildings and different footprints and things that just don't make it, just don't make sense. So let the market determine if somebody has to walk an extra block to get to an establishment, let them choose that. But when it comes to letting the market determine a gaming business, and I'm not sure that we're not talking about a gaming business, we also have an obligation to the 26 other gaming institutions in Villa Park, because we're diluting the value of those institutions or businesses to have their gaming. So the question becomes, if we add another gaming license to Villa Park, are we going to be drawing more income? Are people going to be coming into town to go to Lena's, if in fact they're a gaming institution? Or are they coming to Villa Park and they're spending their money in Villa Park, either at Stella's or Betty's or Demito's or one of the other places that has a number of gaming machines? So are we really bringing in new revenue, or are we extracting that revenue from the other 26 licenses? I don't want to say I'm a yes or a no yet on this. I would like the owners of this building to come in and talk to the board and tell us what their plan is for this. And that said, I make a motion that we table this till the next meeting. And we can table it again if schedules don't align. But I make a motion to table this to the next meeting to give the owners or the applicant the opportunity to come in and just address some of these concerns.
Okay, so we have a motion to postpone until September 23rd. Do we have a second on that? Trustee Patrick?
I'll second that.
Okay. Questions or comments? I do. Trustee Cordova?
So by then, can we get just an understanding that we can, I think if we look back at the last 5 years, 5 years ago, X amount of these establishments that have gambling or video gambling, I think we can use the data to kind of, to tell us two things. Number one, to answer that question of, are we diluting or are we increasing? Because if there was, say, 5 years ago, there were 20, now there's 26 or 27, did the revenue from the current 25 or those, whatever it would be, did it go down or did it go up? Then we'll kind of find if gambling, video gambling increases revenue or not. The second piece is, I'd like, and I see it here in this article, but and from our general understanding of what this tax revenue goes and supports. And my understanding from here, police, fire, community, economic development, parks and recreation covers those things. So, so two things: the revenue from, number one, revenue from each of these gaming places, because we have that data. Number two, understanding the increase or decrease of that revenue per location over the last 5 years, 10 years, whenever it would be that we've had these here. And then the third thing is understanding the line item implications of revenue that we'd be saying no to, either here or as we move forward. Because we've had multiple questions on gaming through the last year and a half that I've been up here. So we have that data. I am in favor of postponing so that we have more data to make a better informed decision on letting this go through or anything further.
Okay. We are not allowed to give out individual numbers as far as tax revenue from each individual place. I'll let our attorney go
There's certain
through that.
information that's deemed confidential by the state, but the village will get you all information that's public and as much detail as we can with respect to the individual establishments.
Okay. How did these guys get it? They have it down to a
I mean, I could address that.
gaming
'cause
board.
I-
Go ahead.
So I did
That's
some of the research and got a link for the Illinois Gaming Board, and it's right there. So you just go to
So-
video gaming, and you can go to monthly reports. You could do statewide, municipality, and establishment.
Right, but maybe tax-related information is more confidential. But the
But it tells
revenue
you.
generated can be,
Yeah.
is on the gaming board's website,
Okay.
just as trustee Alfano had
Yeah, and then we could
stated,
just,
so.
if we just look at what our tax rate is and it's kind of, okay.
Okay. So, all right, so you want information basically about how much revenue and how many licenses each year? To get a ratio, to get an idea of if we are getting more revenue as we give out more, as there are more businesses that are registered with a gaming license? Is that where you're getting at?
I just pulled it right now. I just did it right now, so I do not need that. I'll just pull it from the Illinois Gaming Board here.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, any other questions?
So
Okay.
I don't have to do anything? No.
Okay, motion to postpone this until September 23rd. Clerk Konecki, please.
Trustee,
Did you have any more?
What?
I'm sorry, she
No,
had,
I-
okay,
no,
sorry.
that was it.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure we didn't.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Okay. Clerk Konecki.
okay, trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, so we'll bring that back on the 23rd after we get some information. Okay, item 11C is an ordinance amending section 14-220 of the Villa Park Municipal Code regarding fines for violations of chapter 14 regarding motor vehicles and traffic. Clerk Konecki. Manager Harlan.
This ordinance updates the fines associated with motor vehicle equipment violation for failure to wear a seatbelt as provided for in the relevant provision of the Illinois Vehicle Code, 625 ILCS 5/12-603.1. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance, and this will bring us into congruence with state law.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Patrick?
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Alfano? Okay, questions or comments? Trustee Alfano?
I just want to clarify, this is because we are non-home rule, correct?
This is because we're.
We're not home
Non-home
rule.
rule.
Because we're not, is that correct?
Correct. So this is basically amending the code to clarify compliance with the state law fine requirement in this regard.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Clerk Kornecki?
Okay, trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, item 12A is an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a contract for the village's purchase of certain vacant real property commonly known as Lot 148, Ellsworth Avenue, Villa Park, Illinois. Manager Harlan.
This ordinance authorizes the village president to execute an agreement with Main Street Organization of Realtors to purchase a certain vacant real property commonly known as Lot 148. It's on North Ellsworth Avenue in Villa Park, Illinois. The PIN number is 06-23-125-009 for a total cost not to exceed the purchase price of $125,000 plus or minus prorations if and any costs. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance. A updated memo with maps was included in the packet shortly before this meeting. We inadvertently did not include a memo prior to today. This was discussed in executive session and brought forward for action after the consensus of the board.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Alfano? Okay. For residents' notice, this is the lot that is immediately north of the retention pond by the Metro train station. So the purpose of this is to expand, the village owns the lot to the north of this, and if we purchase this lot, it'll help the stormwater retention in that area. Questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Reinecke, please.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Casell?
Yes. Okay, item 12B is an ordinance authorizing the issuance not to exceed $15 million general obligation bonds, alternate revenue source of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, for the purpose of financing eligible redevelopment projects within the said village's St. Charles Road Commercial Corridor Tax Increment Financing District redevelopment project area. Manager Harline.
I didn't really have a addendum to that. I will say that the staff strongly recommends adoption of the ordinance. Because we're a non-home rule municipality, we must adopt a bond issuance authorization ordinance. And it's the first step in issuing alternative revenue general obligation bonds to fund a portion of the Union project. There is a detailed memo, and there are some specific words that need to be used and to inform the public about the specifics of this ordinance. And then also we have a representative of the Union project here if there are any comments or questions. And I would also ask if Attorney Wolf had anything else she wanted to add to make sure we stay in congruence with the law.
No, the ordinance is self-explanatory, so it explains that this is initially the first step in the process of the village board's considerations of bonds with respect to the Union project. This does not bind the village board in any way in issuing these bonds, but it commences the time period for the backdoor referendum that's authorized by state law. And then after a certain point in time, depending on the proceedings that happen subsequent to the village board's passage of this authorization ordinance, bonds would be issued via separate approval ordinances by the board.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Cordova?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. We did discuss this a little bit at our last board meeting. This is something that I think former President Bolthuis brought up a really good point at Coffee with the Board on Saturday, that this is something that we're looking for the future. If we pass this and we get this project built, in 20 years, the village will be in really good shape in this area, not only for tax revenue, but for redevelopment in this area. So it's a lot of money, but it will be paid for by TIF funds. I think there was some concern from residents that this is a tax increase. It is not a tax increase. It is paid for by TIF funds, which is the backbone of the GO bond. So, okay, any questions? Trustee Alfano.
Yes, I thought that the number was 13 and not 15. Is there a reason why it's 15?
So the net amount needed to fund the project is $13 million. There are some additional costs. We do not anticipate it'll be anywhere near $15 million, but this authorizes us for a number up to $15 million. We do not anticipate it being near that amount.
Okay, can you explain what some of those additional costs might include?
There are issuance costs. There are some, I'm going to defer to Director McLaughlin. I mean, there are costs of hiring.
They're stated in the ordinance
Yeah.
here. There are
Thanks.
legal fees, are some of the costs associated with it, interest, any other fees, professional fees that are associated with the preparation and issuance of these bonds.
So
But
that's
costs of those nature, that may take it over the $13 million that may be granted for the project or the issuance of the bonds to be spent by the actual project, but it would bring it over the $13 million, and $15 million in this authorization ordinance is the appropriate buffer so that you don't have to commence the process again from the very beginning. But it in no way, again, obligates that amount of money. This is just the maximum that's been determined by bond counsel in order to allow the process to continue and go forward.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, because I know there was also like the $2 million property value number that was going around, and that kind of got
Oh, yeah.
connected with that. So
Yeah,
I
no,
wanted to
those
double
are-
check on that.
That's coincidental,
It's merely the administrative fees
Okay.
associated with it.
which should be in the, will be over $100,000, but should be much less than $2 million.
Got it.
Any other questions? Trustee Kozar?
If expenses are a little over 100,000, why authorize an extra 2 million? It always seems like, it's the old, kind of adage, if you got money in your pocket, you're going to spend it. So do we not want to rein that in a little bit and get a little closer instead of making our residents obligated for another $2 million when you just said it was going to be closer to $100,000?
I don't think I said it was closer. I didn't estimate the fees. This $15 million for the authorization ordinance was the number that was recommended by bond counsel based upon the amount of bonds that are intended to be issued for this project. There's no obligation in this ordinance to issue bonds for $15 million. This is just the number that bond counsel has recommended based upon their experiences and various costs that are associated with the issuance of these kinds of bonds. So I would just defer to bond counsel's recommendation for this authorization ordinance, but this doesn't in any way mandate that bond issuance for that amount. It's a not to exceed amount.
So I think I heard what Manager Harline say, maybe it was Manager Harline, that this does not obligate the board to release those bonds. What it does is just allows the process to move to the next step. Can you just explain that a little bit more? I mean, is that accurate?
Yes, that's totally accurate. So what this does is commence the process for notice to the public that the village is considering the issuance of bonds for this project. And after this ordinance is published, it has to be published in a newspaper of general circulation. That starts a 30-day time period for a backdoor referendum, which allows residents or electors of the village to submit a petition with respect to the question of the issuance of these bonds. And depending on what happens in that's a 30-day time period. Depending on what happens in that 30-day time period, if no electors come forward in opposition to these bonds, the village board then has the authority via passage of future ordinances to issue bonds related to this project. It still will require board action. This is the beginning of the process to get this information out publicly so that if a petition is to commence the time period for a petition to be filed. Thereafter, there will be other hearings before officially bonds are issued, so there will be further public involvement if the village does decide to move forward with this and issue the bonds in this case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And one clarifying point, underwriter and issuance fee is roughly $200,000. The remaining lump is like 3 years of capitalized interest. And that's the 3 first-year payments where there isn't any increment. You're actually borrowing from the pot of the bond. So those first 3 years of your loan payment are actually in that dollar amount. And so that 15 million is, as Attorney Wolf pointed out, the buffer. It'll be under that, but we don't want to start the process over again.
Okay.
Yeah, I said over 100,000, but that is a much better estimate of what the total cost will be.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Clerk Henneke, please.
Okay, trustee Cordova,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Alfano,
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, item 12C is an ordinance amending the hours of operation on Sunday, October 13th, 2024, with respect to licensed establishments authorized to sell alcoholic liquor. Manager Harline, want to add anything to that?
This is to allow for sale of beer at restaurants during the Bears game, which is going to be at an early hour due to it being in England, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I'm not a
A
Bears fan,
huh?
sorry.
Yeah, okay. You stick with the Chiefs, huh?
E-
Okay.
Even when Paul Wiggins was the coach, I stuck
There you
with
go.
him.
Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance?
I'll make the
Trustee
motion.
Cordova, do we have a second?
I'll
Trustee
second.
Kozar. Okay, questions or comments? Trustee Alfano.
We did have public comment about amending the wording to take out the word residence, and I have no problem with that. I think that that's a good reflection.
Do we have to vote on this motion?
I would like to
You wanna
know what
make a
other
motion
people
to
feel.
amend
Well,
it?
I want to know what other people feel about it first.
Trustee Kozar.
I hear what you're saying, for that point. I mean, I don't have an issue pulling that out because it is for the benefit of the business owners. I don't really see much harm. I don't think there's gonna be a bunch of outrageously intoxicated people at 8:30 in the morning running around on Sunday. I mean, the game's gonna be a few hours anyway. I guess the level of intoxication depends on how well the Bears do that day. But, I mean, it's a one-up thing, and it's not much different than, you know, like when you're watching European soccer, or, you know, the soccer tournaments are all on. They play awful early in the day, and people are getting together and, you know, having drinks and whatnot, so I don't see any harm in this.
Yeah. We have allowed establishments, but package places, and when New Year's Eve is on Sunday, we have in the past allowed an early sale of liquor in the past, not pour licenses, but we have done it for, retail sale in the past. Anyone else?
For the purpose, so in the third whereas clause, it says the corporate authorities of the Village of Villa Park deem it in the best interest of the village and its residents. Is your request to strike the word residents and put in?
And its residents, yeah.
And its
Yes.
residents. Just strike those words or, okay.
Yeah, just strike those words.
Okay.
That would be
You
my
want-
motion.
You want to make the motion for that?
Yes, I would
Okay.
make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second for that? Trustee Patrick?
Second that.
Okay, questions or comments? Okay, so let me get this. Okay, Clerk Kernicki, roll call for amending the ordinance in the third paragraph to remove the words "and its residents" from the motion, or from the ordinance. Clerk Kernicki.
Okay, trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Cordova.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, do we have a motion for the amended ordinance? Trustee Patrick?
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, second?
Oh, we,
Oops, sorry.
I apologize for, we already have a motion for,
Oh, okay.
the main motion
we
is
don't-
now been amended, so
Okay,
you just need, if there's no
Okay.
further discussion, a vote.
okay. Do we have any other questions or comments?
At least they won this week.
Big time.
Again, came back.
Clerk Kernicki?
Okay, trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, item 12D is an ordinance to approve and authorize the execution of a settlement agreement and release by and between Tower Code 2013 LLC and the Village of Villa Park, Illinois. Manager Harline.
This got the wrong, excuse me, I'm sorry, I have an old version of my, of the packet. I've got to switch to the new one. All right. Oh, sorry. If the board wishes to resolve all matters related to the tower application and subsequent litigation, then the recommended action is to approve the ordinance before you. We have gone over this with the board, and staff is recommending move forward with this.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Patrick? Do we have a second? Do we have a second for the ordinance? Okay, we have no second.
President
I
Kazal.
will make that
Oh,
second.
I'm sorry. Okay. Trustee Alfano. Okay. Questions or comments on the ordinance? Trustee Patrick.
This question, I guess, is going to be directed to our village attorney. I was wondering if you could help explain to our residents what the Telecommunications Act is and how it relates specifically to the village having the authority to allow a cell tower within the city limits.
Okay, well, as it relates to this specific case and the settlement agreement that's being authorized by this ordinance today, the agreement entails TowerCo's relocation of the tower to a different spot, very near to where the original location was intended, but also a reduction in the height of the tower, so that the location and reduction in the height of the tower actually renders that tower in compliance with all of the regulations that have been established by the village code with respect to cell towers. So in that light, the Telecommunications Act is weighs heavily in favor of installation of these this telecommunication technology and these towers, and establishes that the village can have reasonable regulations but can't prohibit those telecommunications, that technology. So now that the proposed location of the towers in compliance with our reasonable regulations, the village would have no ability to deny the proposed cell tower. So what this ordinance does is authorizes that settlement agreement, which forces the reduction in the cell tower, forces the relocation of the cell tower, but basically allows, via the regulations established by our village ordinance, the cell tower to go up if at that new revised location. It also does certain things like requires that any future modifications of that cell tower have to get board approval, which normally that would not be the case. It also dismisses the action, the legal action against the village, as well as the legal action that was against the individual officials that were named in that case. It also says that TowerCo shall indemnify and hold harmless the village and officials for any claims relating to the granting of a special use permit, which will subsequently have to come forward before this board via an order of the court that will take place after this settlement agreement. So this is not the only item that will be presented before this board. This is the settlement agreement that authorizes the court and basically dictates a consent judgment, and then the judge will order that the special use permit will be issued. So this is the ordinance that authorizes the settlement agreement, but ultimately it's going to result in the issuance of the special use permit for that cell tower. But with respect to the TowerCo's compliance with our regulations, the settlement agreement that, like I said, reduces the height of the tower and relocates the tower, renders it in full compliance with our regulations that have been established. So we would not have any authority, it would be a violation of the Telecommunications Act to outrightly prohibit it.
Trustee Cordova?
Were you done? Go ahead.
I would like to see what trustees Kumar and trustee Corkery have to say with this. We're kind of low right now. Would we be able to table this till we have a full board? Until October 14th?
You have the authority to do that. There is a court hearing that's, in between now and then. And so that the court has been advised that we've been in these discussions and this settlement agreement is just pending board approval, but that we had the consensus to move forward on this. So you're not deprived of that authority to do so. It's just, it's going to require the attorneys to advise the court and continue. And hopefully we'll have that authority to do that.
Going on that, Trustee Cordova, when we had discussion on this in executive session, I think it was pretty much a consensus of the board to go ahead with this. So I think, I would think that the two trustees would vote for this, but, if you want to, that's fine too. Trustee Patrick?
I apologize. I just wanted to reiterate then what you said earlier about the Telecommunications Act. First of all, we cannot prohibit this. If this company wants to erect this tower within our established code, the Telecommunication Act prohibits us from doing that. I believe that in our discussions in executive session, we have discussed this back and forth, and we believe, I think a majority of us believe that this is in the best interest at this time for the residents. However, with that being said, District 88 also has a responsibility here as well. Their meetings are also able to discuss a renegotiation of that original contract due to some stipulations within there. So this is not just a Village of Villa Park issue as well. This is also District 88 as well. So I wanted just to reiterate that as well for some of the residents that came out to express their concerns today. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Do you want to have Director McLaughlin talk about some of the concessions that we did win from the?
I think she went through
Okay.
that, unless you wanted.
It's-
Director McLaughlin, did you want to bring anything else up?
Yeah.
I think we're good. Thank you. Okay, Clerk Konecki.
Okay. Trustee Cordova,
Yes.
Trustee Patrick,
Yes.
Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, item 13A is a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Villa Park and the Village of Lombard regarding the Addison Avenue, Madison Street, and Wisconsin Avenue drainage and roadway improvements construction project. Manager Harlan.
This resolution authorizes the village president to execute an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Villa Park and the Village of Lombard regarding the Addison Avenue, Madison Street, and Wisconsin Avenue drainage and roadway improvement construction project. Staff recommends approval of the resolution. Director Guerra is here to answer any questions if you have any about this project.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Cordova, do we have a second? Do we have a second for the resolution? Trustee Patrick?
I'll make that
Any
second.
questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Konecki, please.
Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Cordova.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Item 13A is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with School District 45, DuPage County, Illinois, for baseball and other athletic facilities. Manager Harlan.
This resolution authorizes the village president to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the School District 45, DuPage County, or D45, for the common use and enjoyment of baseball and other athletic fields and courts. This is essentially the same as the resolution adopted earlier this year, except it extends until October 31, 2025. There are some other additional changes in sections 3 and 4 in terms of the duties relative to collection of trash and some mowing. These changes have been hammered out, most of them months ago. The final one was the board of D45 asked to go for another year because we pretty much finished the year. This is the main change in the agreement since we had hammered out all the details between ourselves and the Villa Park Youth Baseball. I will say that the cooperation with Villa Park Youth Baseball and their assuming additional tasks in terms of maintenance of the fields has relieved our staff from some burden and has worked very well. And the staff heartily endorses this IGA. And then, we'll look in between now and October of 25, working the details out in terms of the use of courts and those sort of things, and maybe have a longer agreement with D45 in a year.
Thank you. Trustee Patrick.
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay. Do we have a second? Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Okay. Questions, comments? Trustee Patrick?
I would like also to comment off of village manager's comments there about Youth Baseball League and the maintenance for those fields. Right now, the president is Rocco Cafano, and he has done an outstanding job with organizing the Villa Park Youth Baseball League this year. To think about the longevity of the program as well, including the maintenance to our fields and having these intergovernmental agreements with the village and District 45. Villa Park Youth Baseball is growing. It's expanding. It's getting better. If you have kids that are interested in youth baseball, get them involved. This program has got great leadership. They know what they're doing. And as a testament to what Manager Harline said, yes, they are managing these fields themselves. That is a huge aspect of this program too, and it's a huge undertaking for a program like that as well. So kudos to Rocco Cafano and the Villa Park Youth Baseball League.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Trustee Alfano?
Yes, I just want to thank everybody involved for getting this done and having it ready for well before the next season starts and for fall ball, because I think that that's in the best interest of everybody involved. So thank you. I know that it was a long time coming, but I think that this is great for everybody involved. So thank you. Thank you to staff. Thank you to Villa Park Baseball. Thank you to D45.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments? Okay. Clerk Rennicki, please.
Okay, Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Casone?
Yes. Item 13C is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a contract with Superior Road Striping, Inc., doing business as High Star Traffic of Bartlett, Illinois, for the 2024 pavement marking program in an amount not to exceed $85,461.25. Manager Harline.
This resolution will allow the village president to enter into an agreement to utilize the Suburban Purchasing Cooperative Thermoplastic Lane Marking and Material Labor Contract 229, awarded to High Star Traffic, doing business as Superior Road Striping, Inc., to refresh pavement markings on various village streets to enhance the safety of motorized traffic. Staff recommends approval of the contract to High Star, doing business as Superior Road Striping, and to suspend the standard bidding in lieu of working with a cooperative bidding process with the Suburban Purchasing Cooperative. And Director Guerra is here if you have any other questions about this project.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Alfano?
Make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Cordova?
Yep.
Okay, questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Rennicki, please.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
President Casone?
Yes. Okay, item 13D is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, waiving the competitive bid process, approving an agreement with Corrective Asphalt Materials LLC of Roxana, Illinois for pavement rejuvenation program in an amount not to exceed $81,360. Manager Harline.
Village utilizes a rejuvenating agent known as Reclamite as part of its preventative maintenance program to extend the life of asphalt roadways that have been recently resurfaced or reconstructed. Staff is recommending to award the contract to Corrective Asphalt Materials LLC of South Roxana, Illinois, in the amount of $81,360. We've been using this agent for a number of years. This year, we're extending, we did not formally bid this, but the pricing was arrived for during a bidding process by the Village of Winnetka for the Municipal Partnership Initiative and for this year's program, and they are extending that price to us. So we're getting the same competitive bid price as that award.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Cordova, do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Cordova? I believe, I'm sorry, Kozar. This is the only company that manufactures this, is that correct?
That's correct. I
That we
believe
can
this
get, we
is
get
a-
it through?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Renecki, please.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
President Casal?
Yes. Item 13E is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a contract with A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. of Schaumburg, Illinois, for construction of the Wisconsin Avenue Improvement Project from Vermont to Stone Avenue in an amount of $698,174.75. Manager Harline.
Yes, this is a resolution that will authorize the village president to execute a contract for construction of the, I'm on the wrong, contract for the construction of the Wisconsin Avenue. Am I on the right one? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. A resolution authorizes the village president to execute a contract for the construction of the Wisconsin Avenue Improvement Project from Vermont to Stone. The project was publicly advertised and competitively bid with the bid opening held on August 29, 2024. The village received 10 bids with the lowest responsible bid submitted by A-Lamp Concrete Contractors of Schaumburg, Illinois, in the amount of $698,174.75. Staff recommends approval of a resolution to award this contract to A-Lamp Concrete Contractors for an amount not to exceed that same $698,174.75.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Cordova?
Yep.
We have a second? Trustee Kozar? Questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Renecki, please.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Casal?
Yes. Item 13F is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing the submittal of an application for the funding of the Twin Lakes Water Main Project from the Community Development Block Grant Program and authorizing the village manager to execute an agreement if funding is awarded. Manager Harline.
Staff wishes to submit the proposed Twin Lakes Water Main Improvement Project for consideration for DuPage County Community Development Block Grant call for projects. The project will replace the existing failed 8-inch water main on Princeton Avenue in the public right-of-way between Wildfire Drive and Belden Avenue with approximately 900 feet of new 8-inch water main. Resolution authorizing the submittal of the application and subsequent signing of an agreement should funding be approved is required as part of the application submittal. Staff recommends approval. This was discussed in the public hearing at 5:45 this evening.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Alfano? Questions or comments? Trustee Patrick?
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Public Works Director Guerrera for giving your presentation today at the public hearing. I really appreciate that, and the fact that there is going to be little, if any, environmental impact from this project to the lakes that are over there. So thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, Clerk Renecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. Item 13G is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing the submittal of an application for the funding of the Northwest Area Sidewalk Improvement Project from the Community Development Block Grant Program, authorizing the village manager to execute an agreement if funding is awarded. Manager Harline.
Staff wishes to submit a proposed Northwest Area Sidewalk Improvement Project for consideration also from DuPage County Community Development Block Grant Call for Projects. Project will replace existing deteriorated, deficient, hazardous, and non-compliant public sidewalks in the area of the village bounded by Westmore Avenue on the west, Addison Road on the east, Terrace Street on the south, and Plymouth Street on the north, with approximately 50,000 square feet of new sidewalk. A resolution authorizing the submittal of the application and the subsequent signing of an agreement, should funding be approved, is required as a part of the application's submittal. Staff recommends approval.
There you go. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Cordova? Questions or comments? Trustee Cordova?
No, just another thank you. I didn't know very much about the community or the county community development block grant. What Director Guerrero is doing is submitting two applications, and my question was, between the two, is it 600 total? It is not. It's 600 per application, which kind of cleared up a lot of the things, a lot of my questions, and then you have a maximum of 2 that you can do. So thank you again for quickly and succinctly explaining that to us. So this is great. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Kozar?
So as you know, I've been all for getting our sidewalks fixed and adding money to the budget. Every year that I've been up here, I've tried to push to get more money to get our sidewalks, fixed as necessary. So this is a great addition to it. Good work. Yeah. Well, just good work for bringing it to us and striving towards that. Everything's a work in progress, but yeah.
Trustee Patrick?
Thank you. Earlier today at our public hearing, resident Joe Mori came in and spoke specifically on this topic, but more or less about the sidewalks on Elm Street between Euclid and Villa. What's the proper process for this board to start considering that project?
It's on new business. We'll be discussing that.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, anyone else? Clerk Renecki, please.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. Okay, item 13H is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing Halloween trick-or-treat hours. That time of year already.
Yes.
Manager Harline.
And staying consistent with last year's action, is recommended the village board approve the official trick-or-treat hours of 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Thursday, October 31, 2024.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, you have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Alfano?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a second. Trustee Patrick? Questions, comments? Trustee Kozar?
It's the same hours we had last year, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Clerk Renecki.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. Okay, item 14A under unfinished business is the U.S. flag at Village Hall. Manager Harline.
This past couple of weeks, we met with some firms who are looking at possible electronic signage in the front of the Village Hall. That's one of those things we want to make sure we have an idea of the placement for as we arrange for the electricity to be brought forward to light a sign that we'll put up the pole. We're also waiting for the Parks and Rec staff is finishing up the pathway at Lufkin Park, so we'll be getting more active on siting for lighting and for the placement of the sign in the next before the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions on that? Okay. Item 15A, new business, Villa Park Recreation Center update.
So as we get closer and closer to the Village Park Recreation Center opening, we are looking at different features of how we are going to make sure that the facility is ready to run. And one of the things that we would like to use this opportunity is to discuss some things we're doing. It's with the Parks and Recreation website, but it'll also factor very importantly in how we advertise and take memberships with the Recreation Center. So with your indulgence, Suzanne McVeigh has some exciting information about how we're going to work with the Parks and Recreation website update.
So we just wanted to take a minute. I know we've talked a little bit about communications and just kind of what we're doing. And I think, what we realized, and Riley and I have been talking pretty extensively about, is just how our website is not set up to really communicate all the different programs and services. And then when you add on the Recreation Center, we have to figure out a better way to kind of lay that out, make it more user-friendly. And so we've been working, this is, just to kind of show you, thank you. This is the current landing page for Parks and Recreation. As you can see, if you're a user, you're going to have to go through many clicks to find what you're looking for. And it's just not a great way to communicate a lot of information. And so basically what we're looking to do is we're partnering with Civic, which is our current website provider, to create what they call a department header page. So focusing on user-centric design, mobile-friendly content, right? Because most of our users are going to see that on a mobile phone, and just updating all of the content. A lot of the content is outdated, and that's, throughout our website. And so that's a project in and of itself, but also preparing it for all of the information that we can communicate with the Recreation Center. So, sorry, I don't know how that got all off kilter, but essentially what we can do with the department header page is create a landing page that is unique and specific to Parks and Recreation. It's going to look and feel like its own website, but it's really housed within our website. We can even assign it its own URL. We can make it very easy for people to find the information, to communicate all the information with the new Parks and Recreation Center. So to kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about, this is Morristown, New Jersey. So on the left side is their village page. On the right side is their Parks and Recreation Department page, right? Very similar, but on the Parks and Recreation page, it's all unique to Parks and Recreation. So programs and activities, parks and facilities are all listed as the menu bars in the top. So it's very easy to find that. It's unique to Parks and Recreation. All the buttons are specific to Parks and Recreation, but still, giving the branding that you're going to see within your main landing page. So similar, but allows you to communicate information in a much more streamlined manner. Just as another example, this is Elgin. So obviously a very large city here in Illinois. The left is their main page and the right is their Parks and Recreation Department page. So you're able to kind of make that specific, have its own banner, its own buttons. Its news can even be the same, and so everything can be unique to Parks and Recreation. So just to kind of give you an idea, this is our current page, right? And so the next one I'm going to show you is a mock-up that Riley made. We're not committed to anything. She just kind of did this to kind of show everybody what it could look like. Parks and Recreation has its own logo that they use on some of their branding materials. And so she designed it based off that. But I think at the end, we'd probably want it to be much more in line with our main page. But you'll get the idea. So it's two pieces. On the left is, the top of what the page could look like. And the bottom is, if you scroll down, it can have its own community calendar. But the bottom would be similar to our web page, right? So you can go back to the main home page, but you can see how much easier it will be, right? We can put rentals, programs, the recreation center, online registration, community events, all of that information. We also talked about doing much more with our trails and all of the accessibility within our community that we don't necessarily promote as much. And we can communicate it in such a better way. So we're in the process of launching this right now. We have an estimated date from Civic that it can go live December 11th. We'll probably start communicating information regarding the rec center prior to that point. Obviously to start building up registrations and all of that, but we will have this live before the building officially opens. So we're pretty excited about it. We think it's going to be a much more cohesive, much easier for residents, and just a much nicer way for people to access information regarding Parks and Recreation. So that was just kind of our little overview that we wanted to kind of share with you. If you have any questions, let me know. Riley is also working on just a general communications plan. We've been working very closely with Greg and Gina on all of the things related to this, but we just kind of wanted to give you a quick update.
Yeah, thanks.
And we are continuing to work on the other things you asked for, including the programming and the other things. And we're going to have a lot of that this next, they have another Parks and Rec Advisory Commission meeting tomorrow. And then after that, we're going to have a lot more of that as we're going to make these reports on a bi-weekly basis, or meet at each meeting. And we'll have more of that in the next meeting when we come forward.
Yeah, that's good. The nice thing, and you guys have been working on the website over the last year, which is nice because I've heard very few complaints about it. I still hear some complaints about the website, but it's getting better, and I think these will be great improvements. And for the residents, Riley is our new public information officer, and she's been here, 6 weeks, 8 weeks? Longer than that, a couple of months, but she's doing a great job. Doing a great job. Any comments from the board? Okay. New business, 15B is Elm Street update. Director Guerra.
Thank you, Your Honor. The board may see, I left memos on everyone's table to memo, kind of more of a factual sheet of just kind of the status. I think that was the request. Mr. Gardner's in attendance. I did have a copy for him as well. I did talk to him on the phone this afternoon to kind of give him a status of what was found so that he was aware as well. Just kind of as an overview, trying to go back through some history of Elm Street. Based I can tell on aerial photos, it was probably constructed around the 1950s as original. I went through our historical records for the last couple projects that we've had. We did go out in 2005 and resurfaced that roadway. It was a 2-inch mill with select what we call base course repair. We milled down another 4 inches to get some of the bad base that was crumbling underneath out and reestablished, but that was not throughout the whole roadway. Notes to the board at that time frame, it referenced the 1992 resurfacing of that roadway. So it has been some time since that road has received attention. Kind of based on my understanding is because it was in 2005, it was not included in the street referendum list of streets needing repair when that was passed in 2014. The last year, we utilized AI and did some road surveys and rated all of our roadways in town. We used a scale of 1 to 5. The AI used the scale of 1 to 5, kind of to base the roadway conditions based on the number of cracks, potholes, the overall general condition. It relates to what's several of you may have heard, PCI, Pavement Condition Index. This is kind of called the PASSAR rating, which is a little bit more visual rated, but it's kind of the same concept of kind of visually rating the roads. We just used AI to do it. It was very inexpensive, took a lot less time, utilizing the technology of a cell phone camera of the roads. We send it off, the computer kind of now analyzes it for us. The average rating of Elm Street from Ardmore to Edison came out to about 3.9. And to give you a scale, 1 to 5 is the scale, 1 being the best, 5 being the worst. So it is towards the back end of that scale, as Mr. Gardner has indicated. Because it's a very inexpensive and very easy way, we do have under contract to go do that same rating of the roads here pretty soon this fall to try to get an apples to apples every year comparison of how our roads are doing so we can utilize that information for future road planning. As he kind of talked about what we were proposing, in the very back, I put some photos, and I apologize, I accidentally duplicated one photo, I just realized that, but of what the road looked like when we took that rating in 2003. And as you can see, there's several locations where what we call alligator cracking. Big sections of road just kind of cumbering into little components, not your long transverse cracks or your longitudinal cracks or your long transverse cracks across the roadway. That's usually an indication that the base is failing. which means that the base underneath the subgrade, the soil underneath is not in good condition. And talking with my staff, when we've done some patching, the indication is there's no gravel underneath the road. It's asphalt on top of pretty much dirt. And with the lack of drainage, if you drive it, I'm sure some of you have driven it, there's not any curbs and gutters. There's no really, the roadway ditches are not really defined. The water kind of sits, that kind of creates a situation where it creates that soggy base. And so our original plan was to try to correct all that. If we resurface, we can resurface as is, mill off a couple inches, fix the base where we could. There'll be several locations where the base would need to be fixed. You just won't get the life expectancy out of that resurfacing for the cost. So we were looking at doing pretty much a rebuild, tearing out all the asphalt, excavating down additional 6 inches so that we could actually put in a full pavement depth that we require of new roadways in the village, which is 6 inches of aggregate, 4 inches of asphalt base, and then 2 inches of surface. Additionally, to help improve drainage, I was looking at, as Mr. Gardner said, kind of what's called a modified curb and gutter. If you kind of drive down that location, several blocks on that street don't have, the elevation of the sidewalk driveways is about at grade of the roadway or maybe slightly lower. So we couldn't put in a full section of a 6-inch curb because otherwise all we're doing is trapping the water of the parkways coming in. We'd have to put in extensive storm drainage throughout it. So we're looking at maybe putting in a curb to hold the edge, be modified. I call it a V gutter, but it's a modified curb where it's more of a V shape to help channel that water from the roadway down to the intersections where there is actual drain inlets, catch basins. And then ultimately, we would probably still have to do some improvement of the ditches behind to shape them and grade them, knowing that we'll have heavy rains where that will overcome and that help improve drainage behind the curb structure. There is some stormwater or storm sewers in locations where there's beehives, but we would probably look to do a modification like what we did on Maple, where we create shallow ditches with maybe some yard inlets with 6-inch pipes to help drain those parkways after rain. And then along with replacing of deficient sidewalk, installation of ADA ramps at the intersections. I realized I didn't put it on there, I was on some of my other notes. That section of Elm from Ardmore to Addison is about a half a mile. It's about 0.49 miles. So looking at some cost estimates, we programmed into the capital improvement program 2028 about $2 million, trying to forecast in some costs for inflation. We all know that inflation's kind of jumped all over the place the last 2 years. So I looked at some similar projects. The projects we just awarded tonight for Wisconsin's a very similar aspect where we're just removing all the pavement, removing the curbs, putting new curbs, and just asphalt back in. A little bit different is Wisconsin has 8 inches of ag, at least 8 inches of ag underneath the roadways, and that ag's in good shape. That creates significant savings, so we're just putting back asphalt, touching up the ag where needed. So if you look at those bids, what we just awarded at $600 and almost $700,000, that's only about 0.3 miles. So you extrapolate that over a mile, it's about 2.4 miles, or 2.4 million per mile of roadway to try to do that aspect. So you take a half mile, 2.4, you're in about 1.1, 1.2 range in today's dollars as of today. Additionally, I looked at, the request was, could we just resurface the roadway? Do what we normally do of a 2-inch mill and put back. I looked at our last mill and overlay project, which was last year in 2023. Looking at those average bids, it equated to about $685,000 per lane mile. And we didn't really have any base course repair in that. We picked roads that the surface was just worn, the curbs are in good shape, so we kind of really did minimal. So if you kind of extrapolate that after half mile, you're looking at $350,000. $400,000 for just a mill and overlay of that section of just 2 inches, minimal work. That's why we kind of recommended, typical engineering says you mill and overlay twice, and then after those time frame, you need to rebuild. Usually the base is worn out. I don't know the last time it was rebuilt. I tried to dig back, unfortunately. Time frame, like I said, I found notes saying 92 was resurfaced. I don't know if it was ever reconstructed previously. Additionally, as we kind of mentioned, it was not included in the original referendum, road referendum, so the funding would have to come locally. The two funding sources that we've identified is utilizing our 0.5% sales tax that's dedicated to the street improvement fund, or this would be a MFT eligible expense that we could expend some of our MFT funds. That being said, we have a heavy workload the next couple of years, so some of those funds are also dedicated for that. So that's why I kind of put down there just very quickly what we're looking at for future planning, what we kind of, and these projects that we have listed here, almost all of them have funding associated with them right now. So like this upcoming year, we are going out to bid in the next couple of weeks for what we call the Jackson area. That's the intergovernmental agreement that we just approved with Lombard. We have FEMA disaster mitigation assistance with that. I think it used to be called the BRIC. I think they call it something else now. We recently keep getting DCO grants, which is great, but that kind of throws another wrench into the into our schedule. So we're going out with the sidewalk improvements, the stormwater improvements. We have North Villa that's scheduled to go next year. I'll be honest, we're running into some issues with the railroad, with IDOT, some engineering. I don't know if we'll make that time frame, so that's something we're evaluating that might get extended another year or two to meet those cycles. When you start throwing two railroads in there to try to get crossings and different stuff, it adds another component and some time. But however, that does have STP funding, so we'll be looking to get permission to probably extend that funding into future years. Recently, Senator Goliath Hilton, thank you, got us $250,000 to kind of redo our yard up on Ardmore in our SART bond, much needed. And then currently we have two projects that we have, like I would call 98% designed. We just held off because we didn't have any outside funding. We're looking at utilizing local funds. We're kind of making sure that we have enough reserves that we can cover it. We do have North Harvard from Plymouth to Ridge, and then South Yale from Madison to Jackson, ready to go in queue with local funding. Jumping into 26, we already have project funding associated with the Ardmore Avenue, St. Charles to Madison. We're looking to then try to mesh school. The school is not my biggest, I'm not the school's biggest fans with all of our projects around schools. It seems like every road we touch is near a school, and so we're always trying to finish up or start during school. So a lot of parents get a little frustrated with us, so we're trying to dodge that and hit Jackson from Ardmore to Addison to wrap up the whole Jackson area and resurface that roadway. We were trying to do all the other associated work before we resurface a roadway and beat it up. So now completing those, we'll like to wrap that location up. Additionally, we're looking to really try to do Wisconsin, Washington to Kenilworth. That's a sewer separation, and then we've combined that with Westmore from St. Charles to the tracks to kind of wrap up a couple that's a loan process, a loan one. And then Bierman and Myrtle, we do have engineering underway. And then I do have the Washington sewer separation. We do have engineering underway. We do need loan money for that. That's like a $10 million project for each phase, so that's a natural lift. And so we kind of have those in there, but we definitely need loan funding for that. So really, the 25-26 is kind of packed with additional funding and projects for the staffing level that we have available. And that's not including any of the other projects that we do, such as the striping we did tonight, rejuvenation, our 50/50 sidewalk program. We're moving forward with some utility projects, such as the tower painting, replacement of our SCADA. I left it off, and I was just thinking, we're also in the process of trying to get some engineering going on the underpass, since we got grant funding for some of that phase one. So realistically, staff timing-wise, we're pretty much tied, and that's why we put it in 2028 to try to give a realistic target goal. Looking at what we kind of already have for 27, 28, it could be a possibility we move it up to 27. I know that's 1 year, that's not a big difference, but that is something that we could probably accomplish realistically of getting construction if we go with the full-blown curbs and kind of rebuild that road to get it up to standards, or in better condition and better standards. So that's kind of the report that we have. Hopefully that was the information that you guys were kind of looking for. I kind of gave you a lot, but that was kind of our reasoning behind 2028 and why we selected that year and why we're kind of selecting the resurfacing or the reconstruction, I would call it, more than a resurfacing for that road.
Well, thanks for pulling that up. It's interesting that you said it was resurfaced in 2005, because a lot of comments we we get are, haven't been touched in 30, 35 years, so at least, we know, now granted, it's 19 years, but, it's about due, but,
And usually engineering or surface overlays last about 15 to 20, so we are in that time frame that it does need to be addressed.
and like you say, there's no base on there, and that just beats it up even worse. Okay. Any comments from the board? Just go to
Just a quick one. You mentioned that North Villa may get pushed off. Like some of these will probably get pushed off, and it sounds like there is some type of contingency plan of if one goes down, there's a little bit of a switch, which is kind of nice. All that to say is it's still a few years out, but if we can kind of rank some of these, and you kind of went through it of which ones need the most, which ones are not. I feel like it could probably get pushed up a little bit, but goodness gracious, this is quite the timeline of new streets and a lot of really good stuff that's happening. And I mean, other than that, that's
Just on my feet, the other alternate we could do is begin some of the engineering possibility too, just so that it's shovel ready.
It's ready, yeah, that's what,
buzzword, of looking at it. Because in order to do it, would need some topography surveys to verify everything, those sort of things. So that is something that we could probably add. It just, when you start stacking up several projects being in engineering phase and then trying to go to construction, we have 4 engineers on staff, 3 that are, well, probably 2 that are more active in the capital side. I count myself as maybe a half in that.
The other piece, which you kind of quickly mentioned it, but I don't want that to go away, is the use of AI in here. I mean, how much time did that save in kind of evaluating the streets? I feel like it's a very manual process before. Now you have AI to kind of
Correct.
move a lot of that stuff really quickly. So
we have data dating back longer. We used what was called the PCI, but that was very intensive. It's a big truck. It was like $50,000-$60,000 to survey the town. It used lasers, that good stuff to get very detailed. However, we're not that big of a community, and all of us are kind of amateur road evaluators. So, yeah, the new technology with the road, it cost us less than $10,000 to do that. It took a staff member 3 days to maybe drive the roads part-time, and then we shipped it off and we got it back in like 4 to 6 weeks. It was a pretty good process to get pretty substantial information pretty quickly and be able to utilize to report back to the community and to the board of, okay, our roads, average right now, our roads, I think average is 2.85. Okay, what are they now in 2024? What are they now in 2025? So we can kind of show that progress, hopefully, that we're making in the roadway system. It's
incredible.
Okay. Trustee Patrick.
I really appreciate you putting this together. I like being able to see the timeline of events here. It really puts things in perspective. So just tentatively speaking, then, the Elm Street Improvement Project is roughly 3.5 years away if everything goes as planned.
Correct.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Trustee Alfano.
I also want to thank you for putting this together. You know that I'm a teacher, and I love that there's a plan. And we have heard about Elm Street quite often at Coffee with the Board in particular. So thank you for having this information readily available to us.
I think, if you don't mind, Your Honor, I think the question Trustee Patrick was asking about the sidewalk, it's actually slightly different section of Elm. As Joe mentioned, that was not really on our radar, so that's something we'll take a look at. It would be more of an infill. I would say lately we've been kind of focusing on a little bit more of the replacement of bad sidewalk, but that's something that we can now look at and incorporate. We'll try to incorporate in the future years as we evaluate. I know we kind of mentioned we're kind of been evaluating the sidewalks. We're not fully done, so we don't have, I can't come to you and say, hey, these are the locations that we're looking at over the next 5 years. That's something we're going to try to start building here in the next several months, but we'll look at this location to be included.
And that'll be both sides, correct, of the street as far as the sidewalks go?
That would be something to evaluate.
Okay.
I did a quick look at it because it didn't pop in my mind of the location. So it gets into, we'll probably do something similar to like, this is just my plan right now, Maple, maybe. We do have a portion of the north side has a portion of a sidewalk for several homes. The rest does not. Ideally, that would be to extend that. However, you're looking at some tree removals, different stuff. So what's the impacts and all that? when we get into it? So I don't want to promise anything right now, but we did not really have that planned. So that's something we can look forward to looking, incorporating into future plans.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike, appreciate it. Okay, we have no village commission reports, village clerk's report.
No reports.
Okay, village trustees report, we will start on my left. Trustee Alfano.
Yeah, thank you. I had a couple of things that I wanted to bring up. I wasn't sure if it would be in my report or not, but I know that in the manager's weekly report, there is mention of a tri-trail ribbon cutting being scheduled at some point, and it's said for a couple of months now. It will be scheduled in a couple of weeks. I didn't know if that was still on the radar or not.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah, if you,
Sorry.
hope so.
Yeah, I apologize for drawing that one out.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Just-
We do have a meeting this week with the contractor to finalize their schedule, to put the sod down, to do all the punch list items. And I'm hopeful that once we have that schedule, we can then finalize the schedule for the ribbon cutting. We want it to look nice.
Sure, yeah.
And not look under construction still, so.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we had to wait until September 1st to get inspected. We are now in that timeframe, so we are trying to get a hard schedule from the contractor.
Okay, and I probably have one other question for you, and that is the portable toilet on Wildwood and Monterey, part of the construction still?
That is, yeah, by the
That's not like going to be a
requirements.
permanent thing?
No, no.
Okay.
Part of the construction requirements is they have to provide facilities for their employees.
Sure,
So
there's no
hopefully that's
construction
kind-
going on? Can we make
yes.
sure it's locked? Or? like
Yes,
it's-
I'll bring
okay.
that up with our contractor.
Okay, because it's still like, it's right in somebody's window, and it's been, we've talked about this before, but if we could just make sure that it,
Hopefully we'll
Yeah.
get it disappeared in
yeah, that
the
would
next
be
couple weeks.
even better, but if not, if we could just have it like kind of a little bit more secured, that'd be really nice. And then I needed a clarification just when it came to, if we could circle back to that pour license without gaming. We have a pour license without gaming, or are we open to exploring a pour license?
We have a license for beer and wine pour
Okay, we do.
without gaming.
Okay.
But it's not a full liquor, it's not spirits, it's just beer and wine only.
Okay.
And it's a 4E
Okay.
license.
Thank you.
Okay.
If at some point we can get an explanation of light ordinances, specifically LED lights from businesses that are getting into neighboring residential property. This has been brought up at Coffee with the Board a few times. And then I continue to get feedback and questions from residents about that. I don't know what to say other than to have them call, and they'll tell me that they have. But it's still something that they have questions about, and I'm curious to know, like, so if a business has super strong lighting,
So you're talking about commercial?
commercial
Commercial
businesses, yes, but then there's
okay.
residential right next to it.
We'll let Dr. McLaughlin.
Yeah, the code's quite simple, actually. It's 0 candle foots at the property line.
So how is that measured?
We have a light meter.
You do?
And so
So
if
the
we
village
get.
does?
Yeah.
Okay.
So code enforcement, if we get a complaint on anything, we actually go usually after an adjudication night, or if we have a meeting, like when it's actually dark out.
Okay.
And we take the meter reading.
Okay.
And if it's in violation, we'll send a little letter that says, please readjust, put blockers, or turn off the light. Yeah.
Okay, so a resident should just start
Yeah, just
that
give us an
process
address.
of-
Yeah.
Okay,
If you have an address, we'll gladly take it.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah,
I
and
will
they can go online.
They can submit, yeah.
and
Submit
just
on
put that
on
in.
the app?
On the app.
Okay, cool.
Yep, also true.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, we take complaints a variety of ways.
Yay, like, why not? Also, a few months ago, we had a resident present a comment about lead lines, and they mentioned a possible state mandate that the village might be responsible for. Can we circle back at some point on that?
I'm sorry, what kind of lines?
Oh, lead water lines.
Lead water lines?
Yeah. I don't know what happened with that, so if we could get an update on what's going on with the state, because I know there was some idea that maybe the state was going to change those mandates.
I don't know if there's a state ordinance on that yet, as
I
far as
mean, in
requiring
education,
it.
they require things and then they don't fund it all the time, so.
Right, correct. Absolutely.
Unfunded state mandates.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a possible future topic with, for the community of the whole.
Okay.
There is a state mandate about replacement of lead lines. I think we have those timeframes. We have to submit a plan. Inventory every year has to be updated. We submitted our inventory. You have to have a plan to get them replaced, but there's a lot of vague language still in it that's still being worked out in terms of private side versus public side. Obviously, it's very easy for us to create a plan, well, not easy or affordable, but we can create a plan for the public side. The private side's a little bit more difficult, so I think that was a topic several months ago of possible options of what different villages are doing to address the different sides. So it is kind of a state mandate, or federal, it's actually a federal mandate, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
But there's timeframes and we can discuss
But
that.
Okay.
neither the feds or the state are funding it.
Yeah.
You can get
Unfunded
some,
mandate.
you can get some federal funding, I think, but it's pretty difficult to get the.
Okay. And then is it possible to schedule another tour of the rec center for interested trustees now that we're doing inside work, or is that kind of
Yeah.
difficult now that they're working inside?
No, you can do
Okay.
that.
Oh, would we reach out to you, manager?
Yeah,
Eli?
just
Okay.
just let me know and I'll set something up.
Okay, and can
Usually
we-
I can get it set up within a week or so,
Okay.
two at the most.
Cool. And then I know that Director Gola came up to me. Can we make sure that all trustees who want a tour of the pool before the liner is installed get that opportunity?
Sure.
I know that I know there were a few others that mentioned.
Every Thursday I ask him about it, and so it's. I don't know. It's
Thank you for that. Yes, if anybody wants to tour the pool, just give me your available dates and we'll take you on a quick tour.
Thank you. And then I wanted to thank Willowbrook High School for the invite on August 30th to attend the ribbon cutting for the new football field turf. The athletic staff was really welcoming, and my family and I had a great time at that event. The Friends of the Villa Park Library is hosting trivia night at Crazy Pour on September 19th from 6:30 to 8:30. You have to register, so check the website for that. What else do I have? Patriot Day ceremony is at Fire Station 81 on Wednesday, September 11th from 8:30 to 9:30. Fun Commission Autumn Jubilee is on October 12th. So put that on your calendar. And I also believe that there is there's an open house at the firehouse that day as well, I believe. So it's a fun Saturday to be in Villa Park, especially if you have your family and you have your kids. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. I just want to, again, recognize our first responders out there, our fire department, our police department. I know pretty much every trustee report that I have, I always thank you guys, but I really do appreciate it. From the top to the bottom in the department, you always have the tendency to go above and beyond the call of duty to do things, especially when your involvement with the public, which is something I really appreciate. Now, Trustee Alfano touched base on it, though, but this Wednesday at 8:30 is their 9/11 ceremony that you've been doing for quite a few years now, which is really impressive. So if you are a Villa Park resident and able to come out to that ceremony, I highly recommend it. And again, thank you to both our police and fire departments for continually going above and beyond. Thank you.
Trustee Cordova.
We have an app in town that you can, I know we just talked about it a couple seconds ago, but where if you needed to pay a bill online, want to check agendas, sign up for Code Red, garbage recycling, utilities, permits, Parks and Rec, it's all on here. Adoption rate should be a little bit higher than where we're at, but I will continue to just kind of push this. It's a really easy, user-friendly app to do, and I've used it a couple times already, so just plugging that. It's a great one. Everybody should use it. That's it.
Okay, Trustee Kozar.
I don't have anything.
Okay. We'll move on to my report. I know everyone's tired of hearing from me, but got a few things. We spoke about Patriot Day on the 11th. This Wednesday, the Chamber of Commerce is having their barbecue bags in business, 4 o'clock on the Prairie Path by the gazebo. You can go online, villaparkchamber.org. It's $35 for food and drinks. There is a bags tournament you can sign up for, and there's also sponsorships, so villaparkchamber.org. Electronic recycling will be Saturday, the 21st. Villa Park residents over here on Home Street, you can come here. This Friday is the Crosstown Classic between Willowbrook High School and Addison Trail. The game is at 7:30. JV flag football is at 5, and varsity flag football is at 6. District 88 has invited the board and staff to be there, a little food before, and then they'll introduce the introductions before the game. So it's this Friday. Saturday, September 21st is also Love Your Neighbor Day. I'm sure they will still take volunteers if you'd like, the Christian Church of Villa Park. If you go to ccvponline.net/love-your-neighbor-day, the deadline for signing up was yesterday, but I believe they'll probably take some more volunteers. They're always looking for those. This past September 4th, Manager Harline and I met DuPage managers and mayors. We had a meeting with Senator Gloria Hilton. I know her name was brought up earlier. She did provide us some money for some of our projects here. We've been doing this a lot lately, trying to meet our state senators, state reps, as much as we can. Always hitting them up for money, trying to get as much as we can from the state. Like you say, there's a lot of unfunded mandates, which these reps understand, and so they do try to get us some money when they can. Golf Under the Stars, the Kiwanis at Sugar Creek is Friday, October 4th. If you go to the Kiwanis website, there's some information. Brewfest is October 5th at Cortese Park. Again, Parks and Rec, you can go to their website. Movies in the Park on Friday, September 20th at dusk at Cortese Park. I believe it's Open Season is the movie that's there. I don't know much about it, but it's a PG movie, and it's usually a nice time for the kids. And finally, we finally have a date for the CN Railroad crossing at Addison Road. They are scheduled for October 7th to redo that grade crossing. It will probably take all week, and I believe they're going to be doing the north and the southbound lanes, so there'll be kind of a mess there, but that grade has been horrible for a long time. And so October 7th, hopefully they'll start working there. And that's all I have. Village Manager's report.
I think everybody covered everything I had on my list. I will say that I know how many phone calls you have made, President Kazone, on that crossing, and I appreciate the fact that you finally got some response, so.
Yeah, thank you. That's it? Oh,
That's
okay.
it.
Okay, item 21, executive session. Item A is pursuant, I'm sorry.
Is there going to be a financial report?
I'm sorry. Oh, you know what?
yes, sir, yes.
I missed that. Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, there is.
A quarterly financial report.
Yes. I'm sorry, but apologize. That's
Yeah.
also
Thanks
underneath
for-
the village manager's report. There is one included in your packet, and I will defer to, go ahead and Charles Howard, our finance director, who put it together to give you the finer points. Thank you, Trustee Kozar.
I know.
Sorry, I put that in front of you.
It's like the slowest internet ever.
Sorry for the delay there. Just giving some highlights for the second quarter of the year. Overall, general fund cash is about $1.9 million higher this year than the comparable month last year, so we're doing well there. That's about a 13.4 increase in our cash balances. Again, we have these funds that have a negative cash balance, you'll see there, and we'll zero those out as we get to the end of the year with general fund money. Capital projects such as equipment replacement, building improvement may show negative cash balances, but we'll reconcile those as we move funds through the general fund to those. Our investment portfolio includes rates of return of about 4.5% weighted for the money market portion. Weighted average rates for interest in our portfolio of CDs is about 5.25% or so. Purchases, again, are starting to show the trend toward a lowering rate. Our investment rate trend moved from probably about 4.7 to 4.1. Investment environment seems to be settling around 4%. So those 5% ones that we saw earlier in the year have kind of dried up, and a couple of those that we had that were above that were either called or now have been completed. Just for the quarter ended June 2024, general fund revenues are up about 4%. Expenditures, of course, were about greater because of what we're doing with the rec center, about 12% than last year. And we've had, of course, increase in personnel costs and additional transfers from the general fund for rec. Comparable revenue increase was identified as relating to the timing of our tax collections. We had some in 2023 that were posted in July, so those kind of were out of sync if you're looking at those. Actuals to estimated revenues are about 56% of estimated budget, so we're halfway through and about halfway to our budget. Expenditures, again, trending a little bit higher at 62% of the estimated budget. The expectation for this quarter would be slightly higher revenues as property tax collections happen in the third and fourth quarter, so we'll see taxes start to improve there. They're kind of slightly higher this year than comparable last year, about 53%. Property tax revenues, 24 to compared to 23, about 5% lower. Again, timing plays into that. All tax revenue is about 53%. Again, we're halfway through, so 53% is good. Property tax, about 56% of budget. Let's see if, I won't read through all of those boring numbers here late at night, but village-wide revenues are about 12% higher than last year. Expenditures remain pretty much even, down about 1% from June of 2023. We've seen increased revenue from sales and income tax collections, along with increase from, basically what we mandate through garbage and increase in ambulance fees, putting some extra money in our revenue. Expenses remain steady compared to June 2023, and expenses for Parks and Rec were kind of offset by the decreased expenditures in stormwater and wastewater projects. So we seem to be right on track with what we should be. I don't see anything unusually, again, timing of tax revenue is always an issue around now, but I think we're heading right where we should be, and I think we've budgeted right where we've come out to be. Okay. Any questions, any comments?
Questions?
I know there are a lot of numbers there, and nobody wants to talk about numbers late at night.
Trustee Kozar.
Please.
As I've made abundantly clear, I am going to push not to raise our portion of property taxes through the levy for this year. Based on kind of the trajectory of where we're going, do you think that preliminarily, not making you commit to anything, is that a possibility? Are we kind of on target for that? I know some of our revenues are up, some of our expenses are the same.
It's always possible to do those types of things. One of the things we want to make sure is we include these types of approaches in our capital planning, because you can't do, one without constricting the other. We're just beginning our budget process right now. We're talking about these things. I know that's been an approach of yours, that you want to rein in any type of increase. Mind you, we have to concern ourselves with, we always see in the appraisal process an increase in valuation. So to say that we're not going to increase taxes, well, if we leave it the same, it's going to increase because the appraised value is going to increase. So we actually would have to lower the rate to do that. And that's something we have to look through in our budget process and make sure if we're going to take those types of trends, we include budgeting those things in a different light and make sure that if that's our target goal, that we would make sure that we encompass that as we have our discussions here in the next few months.
We've got a little less than 4 months before that final budget comes out, so I would like to continue that dialogue and keep working towards that goal. Thank you for presenting this today.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Trustee Cordova?
The data in here, it just goes through the end of June, right?
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay. That's it.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay, anyone else? Okay, thanks, Chuck. Okay, now we go on to 21A, executive session. Pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. We will not have item B, 5 LCS 120/2C5. Pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11 regarding litigation when action against, affecting, or on behalf of the village has been filed and is pending before a court, or when the village finds that an action is probable or imminent. We have a motion to enter executive session and then adjourn our board meeting out of executive session. Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, second. Trustee Alfano.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano? Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. So we will go into executive session, and then we will adjourn our meeting out of executive session. So we will see you back here in 2 weeks. Hope everyone has a great weekend, a great week coming up, and we'll see you hopefully Wednesday at Station 81, Station 81.